Hello and welcome to our remote review of One Piece Part 6.
Hi.
I'm Derv Derv.
Oh, oh, I'm ski nerd. I'm sick nerd. Ski sick.
And I'm Derv recovered. For the most part.
Not good.
It still catches me at night. But
Okay. Well, I'm glad we didn't do yesterday. Because I was dead yesterday as well.
we're doing an extra episode since we couldn't do our normal movie review. We just figured instead of watching movies separately, just doing One Piece would be easier.
Hi.
So it's a bonus One Piece, so we get 5 episodes closer to being done. Or closer to where we'll just do one arc a week.
Alright.
First half, we start with tonight with the episode 26, titled Zeph and Sanji's Dream, the Illusory All Blue.
Cool. So I saw this episode yesterday, so I'll probably forget a bit. Whatever. So anyways, this episode is about the dreams. In their dreams, there's a bunch of sharks and evil monsters, and they're chasing them. And they wake up in school, and they're completely naked, and then they wake up. I'm just kidding.
This episode, we get more backstory on Sanji and Zeph. But it picks up to how last episode ended with Gideon taking Zeph hostage.
Oh, yeah. That's right, I remember now. Yeah, Gideon had a shotgun to Zeph's head, and Zeph was on the ground. And they were like, hey, if you will let Zeph go if you give us the ship. And Sanji refuses, and he says, no, the ship is Zeph's treasure. And his goal was to see we learned that his goal is to see the All Blue, which is in between the East Blue, South Blue, West Blue, and North Blue. It's all a magical.
It has every single fish or sea life that's in the world.
Well, that's right. And there's like a little fighting, and basically Pearl is kicking Sanji's ass, and Sanji's not fighting back. And so he's on the ground, and he goes into this flashback about how Sanji was on the ship. He was like a little boy.
How he was a chef on a ship that was attacked by Zeph's pirate crew just back from the Grand Line.
Oh, yeah.
And
right before they get attacked, they're like, all the cooks are eating food, and they're saying, hey, why don't you come eat some? He's like, no, after that that food is old. I threw that food away. They're like, hey, that's wasting food. Don't do that. And when you know it, they get attacked, and then there's a storm, and Sanji, even though he's like a little kid, he stands up to Zeph, and he's like, I'm going to attack you. You're not going to take me with you. I'm going to take as many with you as I can. Excuse me. And Zeph beats him up, but he still gets up and tries to fight, kind of thing. And there's a storm that happens, and a giant wave comes crashing down and throws the kid off, and Zeph goes to save the kid. And the anchor falls in the ocean, and chain wraps around Zeph's leg, and we see that it's taken off, and they wake up on a little island with no food on it. Let's see. Yep, the leg.
It's not even really an island, it's a big spike.
There's a big rock in the ocean. No life on it. And they're both stranded there. And Zeph is looking out into the ocean, and he's like, hey, kid, you're alive. Okay, cool. Well, here's 5 days worth of food. Go sit on the other side, look out for ships. And I'll sit on this side. And he's just like, hey. He looks at Zeph's bag, and it's a giant ass bag. And there's he's like, hey, where do you get all that food? And they he's like, well, I have a bigger stomach than you. I'm a grown up, you're a kid. Go sit on the other side and watch out for ships and shit. And so they're, he's rationing out his food. And he's, Sanji's slowly getting hungry. He's like, all I have to do is wait for a couple of days and the ship will come by. But he rations out his food. He raises it out to like 20 days. And it's down to like 20th day. It's the last piece of bread. It's all moldy and shit. Falls in the ocean. He's like, oh crap. Oh no. And, X amount of days have gone by and they're waiting and waiting. And eventually he gets hungry enough. He's like, wait a minute. The other guy has a crap ton of food. I'm going to go steal his food. So he pulls out a knife. Looks like he's going to kill him. And he's walking over to him, and he's like, haha, I'm gonna steal this guy's food. And he's like, oh, shut up. They start talking to each other. He's just like, oh, hey, did you see a ship? He's like, no, I'm gonna take your food. Well, how come you get all food? And he opens up the bag, and there's only gold inside. And he realizes that Zeph didn't have any food. He gave all of the food to Sanji so he could survive easier. And he's like, oh, isn't this funny? You have all this gold to pay for food, but there's no food to buy. Haha. And then got into a little argument back and forth. We're both really desperate, and they're like, oh my god. And then that's when Sanji sees his leg, and he's like, oh my god, you lost all this weight. Zeph lost all this weight, he lost his leg, and yet he still was able to, he still saved Sanji and stuff like that, so. Now he believes that, they both had the same dream, which was to see the All Blue. And now Sanji feels like he's indebted to Zeph for saving his life and stuff like that. So that was that episode.
ends with Luffy attacking the ship with his foot.
Oh yeah, Gum Gum Vandalash.
Because he has the bright idea of if in order for what's his face? I can't think of his name.
Jin?
No, his boss.
Don Krieg.
If Krieg wants, basically, in order to stop Krieg, he might as well just destroy the ship.
Yep, that's his logic. He's like, you can't shoot him. I didn't attack you guys. I attacked the ship. Pretty smart. So episode 27.
And this picture of Gum Gum Axe that I was hiding. Episode 27 is called Cool-Headed, Cold-Hearted Demon, Pirate Fleet Chief Commander Gin.
Oh yeah. So this is where we learn that Luffy and Sanji have an argument about dying. And they're like, no, I'm going to die for my beliefs. And Sanji's like, why are you trying to kill yourself? He's like, well, I'm doing it for good reasons, blah, blah, blah. And then Commander, we learned that his name was after Commander Gin. He's the rank just below the captain. And he begins to fight Sanji, and he actually takes out Pearl, and Don Krieg's like, what are you doing? Took out Pearl. He's like, well, that's because I don't want to fight Sanji myself. He's like, I see you, haha. And he has these, not maces, but like, kind of like stick things with maces on the end of them.
Those are maces. Because a mace is a blunt end with sticks.
Yeah, but it's a different handle than a traditional mace. It's like a weird. He's able to like swing it differently. I don't know what they're called. It's a Japanese weapon. They usually don't have things on the end of it. I can't think of what it's called, but it doesn't matter. They're swinging maces. And, so, Gin is fighting Sanji, and they're kind of going back and forth, swapping blows. He breaks some of Sanji's ribs, and Sanji's like, oh my god, that really hurts. Like, yeah, you got attacked with a freaking mace to the freaking ribs. Of course it does. And during this time, Luffy insults the pirates. He's like, oh, the only reason why you're quote-unquote strong is because you have the most men and most ships. And they're like, what? How dare you? And this is where we get Luffy facing off with Don Krieg. They're like, oh, now Luffy's like, I'm going to take care of Don Krieg. You take care of the other guy. Like, okay.
The type of weapon you're trying to think of is called a tonfa.
Tonfa, that's it. Half tonfa, half mace. And so there's a bunch of fighting it's mainly between Sanji and Commander Gin. They're going back and forth. And it gets to the point where Sanji actually loses. However, Commander Gin starts crying and he can't go through with killing Sanji because he fed him food and saved their lives. And he's like, Don Krieg, I followed you through, through all this time, and I've never once disobeyed an order from you, but maybe just this one time because he saved our lives. And Don Krieg doesn't give a shit. He's like, oh, fuck, I'm gonna kill you now. Even though you've done all this stuff for me. And so Don Krieg, after that, he pulls out a weapon. It's a gas weapon. It's like MH5 or something.
Yeah.
What is it?
Like MH5. Let's see.
Yeah,
MH5. Yeah.
And he fires it, and as he's firing, he's like, you're mine. Not a member of the crew anymore. Basically, he fires Gin basically, permanently. Trying to kill him with poison gas. So that's where that episode ends, and goes right in episode 28.
I Won't Die, Fierce Battle, Luffy versus Krieg.
And so, at the beginning of this one, he fires the poison gas, and Gin, he heroically, I guess, or honorably, throws away his gas mask, even though he knows it'll die. But, so all these, pirates and the cooks are out in the water trying to avoid the poison gas, and Luffy steals a couple gas masks for Sanji and
Gin.
Yeah, that's it. And he tries to go for another one.
They're gone.
Although the pirates are underwater already. He's like, oh no, where can I find a gas mask? And he fires it, and he manages to find one on the ground. He's like, oh look, a gas mask. Yeah, so it saves his life, and like 2 seconds later we learn that was actually Gin's gas mask. And so Gin was cool like that. And Gin is like dying, so he's basically dead at this point. He's sucked in the poison. He's struggling to breathe. We see that some of the seagulls above are falling out of the sky because, instant death. And Don Krieg and Luffy are fighting, and they're kind of swapping blows at this point. And there's one point where Luffy goes, he's like, oh, I'm going to attack you, and punches Don Krieg like a couple times, and Don Krieg falls down, and all his crew members are like, oh my god, he's never gotten a hand on him before. That's crazy. I thought he was invincible. And he goes to, Don Krieg has a lot of, what's the phrase? Something up his sleeve? Oh, tricks up his sleeve. And he has a bunch of other weapons on his weapons. So he has a cloak. Luffy goes in for a punch, and there's this cloak of spikes that he has, and he uses that to block Luffy's attacks. And they're like, haha, yeah, his porcupine cape, and he's not going to get through that. And Luffy punches right through it, and this whole time he's actually talking to Sanji about there's some people in life that have blind determination, and that's their weapon, and they won't, once they look onto someone, they'll fight to the death. And he's like, yeah, win or lose, I like these people. Um, and that's when so he was able to punch Don Krieg in the face, even though he got spiked. Luffy also gets shot, and he just kind of like bull rushes him, even though he gets shot. So after he gets punched, he gets back up, and he's like, "Oh, with this weapon." He pulls out. It's called, I don't know if you picture already, the mighty spear.
I don't.
That's okay. But basically, it's a spear that the harder you hit it, the bigger explosion that happens. And that's a really cool weapon, by the way. Really my kind of weapon.
Trying to see if I can find a picture that is just a spear and not Don Krieg with it, but I can't.
That's fine. That'll suffice. But, yeah, it's his blind determination that he keeps... Luffy, keeps going back for more. He keeps attacking, getting attacked by the spear over and over and over again. And then Zeph keeps talking about how it's almost as though as Luffy has faith in himself, and he's telling Sandy this, but in a pirate battle, the first person that fears death loses. Otherwise, so you have to have a never give up attitude and never fear death kind of thing. But he believes in himself, and Don Krieg does bossy of I'm the strongest, I just get these force, use this tricks and stuff like that. And deception. But eventually Luffy's able to break the spear. And he goes, 5 punches and you're spear broke. And, we keep going back and forth. He's like, haha, you may have broken my spear, that doesn't mean you're going to win. He's like, it doesn't mean it doesn't have other tricks. And he's like, Luffy's like, I doubt that. He's like, but he also, I think that's the end of that episode. But the spear breaks and they keep fighting and going back and forth. But episode 29.
The conclusion of the deadly battle, a spear of blind determination.
Spear of blind determination, wow. So they keep fighting and Luffy doesn't give up and he throws a large piece of wood at Don Krieg from a distance. And if you look at that, he has a flamethrower on it. Who would have guessed? He's like, oh look, our weapon. And they keep mentioning because how many weapons does this guy have? Jesus. But Luffy keeps having determination. He keeps attacking them, and even Don Krieg can't believe it because his armor starts to break, and starts to crack. He's like, God, no matter, you're defeated. And there's no way, he keeps telling Luffy, there's no way you can get through my armor. It's unbreakable. And Luffy just keeps attacking again and again and again and again, even though he's losing blood. And keeps attacking and attacking. Eventually the armor breaks, and then it finally fully breaks. After they go way up into the air, he has one last trick up his sleeve, which is a bunch of bombs he places. And they're like, oh no, get out of there! And then all these bombs, and he's like, haha. My armor may be destroyed, but I've won this day. This is your graveyard, boy. And he's up in the air and he's falling, and then all of a sudden Luffy comes out of nowhere. He's just like, gobble something. I forget what it is. Pistol. He's like, oh my god, you're still here. And he attacks him again. But before he can get there, he blasts a net at him, and he's like, haha, now there's a net around you, and you will fall into the ocean to your death. This will be your graveyard. And they're like, oh my god, another weapon. Oh jeez, Rick, another weapon. And however, before they fall, Luffy still doesn't give up, and he does Gumu Gumu giant gavel, and he basically twists himself around the net because his arms and legs can fit through the net, and it's a steel net, by the way, and he's able to twist his body against Don Krieg, and he basically spins him around it so fast and slams him like a gavel into the side of the ship, defeating him. However, he's still in the net and he falls into the water and he's sinking. So that sucks. And then Sanji is told that, oh yeah, he had the devil fruit, he can't swim. He's like, what? How? Zeph, why didn't you tell me he's fingered? The old geezer takes off his shoes and his jacket and he dives right in and saves Goofy, he saves Luffy, and he brings him up, and he's like trying to give him.
Yeah, apparently we're now reviewing the Goofy movie.
Yeah.
Because you just said Goofy.
That's the Goofy movie. That's how he sounds. That's right.
The Leaning Tower Pizza.
Exactly. And like the Goofy movie, when they're like tired in the soup and got the rat ladder heating up the can of food. Anyway, what was I saying? Sanji saves Luffy, and he pulls him up, and he's giving him CPR basically. He's like, wake up, damn, wake up, and it's just Luffy's, he fell asleep. We learn that Gin is actually alive. He's being taken care of by Patty and the other cook. And he gets up, and he's basically, through the whole time, he's trying to witness the battle and seeing what's happening. And he gets up, he's fine enough, and he says, that he's going to see Luffy on the Grand Line, tell him when he wakes up, and telling his crew, hey, we lost, but we'll be back, don't worry about it. And they're given the grocery boat, which is very small, and the entire crew somehow fits on this boat, and they sail away to come back to come by another day. And at the very end, we see Nami reminiscing about, man, I wish I can run into those guys, and starts crying, and she's like, oh, I'm so lonely, Dolore, son. Which we don't know who the fuck that is. But, she's crying, and she apparently misses him. Even though she fucking betrayed him. But, you know, it's all good. So that was episode 29, end of episode 29?
Yep.
Episode 30.
The worst man in the Eastern Seas, Fishman Pirate Arlong.
Oh. That wasn't the title of the Japanese version.
What was the Japanese version?
It was a long way of saying Sanji, like, an entitled cook joins Luffy's crew or something like that.
That's episode 29.
Oh. I thought episode 29 was Spear of Blind Determination.
No, that was I apparently had it mixed up. I must have accidentally watched an extra episode.
Whoops.
Because apparently I put 2 29s.
Oh, no, that'll do it.
I've been tracking Netflix.
Yeah. Because episode 30 ends with, like, them going to Arlo. Anyway, episode 30 is, something about Sanji joining the crew, and immediately they're all eating food, and they're like, hey, look, food, dinner served, awesome, cool. And there's no chairs for Sanji or Luffy, and they come in, and they're like, man, I can't believe they ran out of chairs. I never stopped fighting so much there would be enough chairs. Idiots.
Okay, I guess I just have one last episode to watch by Tuesday.
Yeah. And, see. So, all these cooks are eating their food, and they're like, oh, this is good food. And they get to the soup, and they're like, and Patty is like, who made the soup? And Sanji's like, I did. Isn't it great? And he's like, no, this is terrible soup. He's like, what are you saying? Another guy eats it. He's like, yeah, this soup is really bad. He's like, hey, don't make fun of the soup. Hey, he's like, hey, well, I'm the one eating the soup. I can say whatever I want about this soup. And all those other people are like, yeah, this soup is really bad. We should just throw it away. And he's like, and he's getting his feelings all hurt. And then Zeffy's like, no, everybody must finish the soup. And he looks at Zeffy, and Zeffy's, finishing the soup. He's like, yeah, that was pretty disgusting soup. It was really bad. And Sanji gets all upset that everybody hates the soup, and he walks out. And they're like, and then they start talking to Luffy. They're like, hey, Luffy, do you think you'll take Sanji on your journey? He's like, nah. And as they're talking to him, like, Luffy eats the soup. He's like, hey, this soup is actually really good. They're like, yeah, we know. It's really, really fucking good soup. I mean, fucking good soup. And they want Sanji to follow his dreams of finding the All Blue and going to the Grand Line. Because he needs to, get the hell out of there. But he's too stubborn to do so. And so they're all talking to Luffy about, yeah, it wasn't bad soup. We just want him to follow his dreams and stuff like that. And Sanji, as he's coming back from his little temper tantrum, he sits next to the door and listens to all this. He's sitting out there and they're saying, oh yeah, he's a great guy, but he just needs to leave. He just needs to follow his dreams. And all of a sudden, a shark is in the water. He comes towards the boat, and there's a man inside of it, and we learn that it's Yosaku, one of the
one of Zoro's friends.
Yeah, what are they called? Bounty hunters. And he comes back, and we learn that something happened with Zoro and Usopp, and they were trying to follow Nami's ship, but something happened, and they were attacked by something, and they mentioned it was like a humanoid shark, or humanoid fish, or something like that. I don't know. I guess we'll learn it on the next episode. But, they're like, oh, okay, well, I guess we gotta go to, I gotta follow my crew, I gotta follow these guys, and Luffy's excited because he was able to ward off the Don Krieg, he's able to leave. As he's about to leave, Sanji's like, hey, do you need an extra crew person? I'm gonna join your crew. And everybody's like, whoa, you're joining this crew. And he's like, yeah, I can hear everything you guys were saying. You guys are all really extremely stupid. And they're like, what? You heard us? And he's like, yeah. So I'm gonna leave. And, as they're all packing up, Luffy's trying to get all the meat, as much meat as possible. And, Zeph comes up to Luffy, he's like, hey, I got this journal, my journal, do you want it? And Luffy's like, nope, don't need it. He's like, haha, I knew you would refuse it. And Luffy gives him a big grin, like, I'm gonna find my own way of doing it, kind of thing. Just kind of cool. And then they all have this big, giant emotional goodbye, and everybody's like crying, and Zeffy is like, he's like, hey, don't get a stomachache on your way out of here. And everybody's like, oh, I'm gonna miss you. And Zeffy's like, hey, men aren't supposed to cry on goodbyes or even say anything. But they're all crying anyways. And Sanji, he bows and thanks Zeffy for everything, and thanks everyone else for being there. And they're off, and we see what we presume as Arlong, the guy in the poster. Arlong's fortress, it looks like. And we see Nami on a ship in a different outfit. And that's how it ends.
For you,
so, yay.
For me, it ended about 25 minutes later.
Yep, it did. Yeah. So that 5 episodes I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Sanji's backstory and why he helped those people, because they were hungry, because he knows what it's like to starve, not have food. Let's see, in the overall fight with Don Krieg, like building up to see how strong Sanji was. That was cool. Purple, I did not like that character. He was stupid. He was just a crybaby with giant shields. Gin was a cool character. Like, you think he's an underling the whole time, and nope, he's the commander of that ship, and get to see how Don Krieg and his vast amount of weapons and his deceivingness was there, and how he doesn't care about anyone on his crew. He's just like, I'm in charge. Might makes right. I'm a great person because I'm so strong. But he's a giant pussy. And he lost to Luffy because Luffy has the bigger goal, I guess. And we have a mystery about Nami as well. Like, why did Nami betray them again? And why is she going to this place? And why was she traveling?
I have a feeling we might see Gin again later.
Well, he did say, I'm going to see you on the Grand Line. So, we better not see them.
The thing is, I've discussed this with multiple people. Any of the villains can return just because Luffy doesn't really kill anybody.
It makes sense.
So any of the villains can return.
Yeah. Let's see. They had that one lady from the first episode.
Velveeta?
She didn't die. He didn't kill
Buggy,
Buggy.
Helmeppo, Captain Morgan.
DeMorgan. Who was the other one? Aleppo?
Helmeppo, his son, Captain Morgan's son.
Oh. That's right. Him. He didn't kill Don Krieg.
Kuro.
And he didn't kill Captain Kuro. That's right.
So anybody can return, because Luffy doesn't kill.
Yeah, he doesn't really need to.
Until I think maybe one of the most recent episodes, because I'm pretty sure he killed somebody on.
Well, he eventually has to. Right? I'm sure someone will piss him off now.
Or no, the one person I was thinking of, Luffy did not kill.
Okay. But yeah, so far the show is good, and there's a lot of detail, a lot of philosophy, and each character was very detailed in their character creation. Like every character has his or her own backstory. However, we are still at the beginning of this series, so we're still reading the backstory of all his crew and stuff, and so we'll see where it goes from here.
Oh, well, that'll continue to be the theme, because we get a new crew member maybe every other arc, or maybe every couple of arcs.
But so far they're all very good stories. There's not one that's been subpar. Each one is unique and seems like they have a reason, like their reason to be where they're at and why the way they are is thought out in great detail, which kind of gives me a headache. And thinking how the heck did they do that? Just crazy shit people come up with. It's I couldn't think of that in a million years. I have trouble making D&D characters, let alone an entire world.
That lasts for over 1,000 episodes?
Yeah, exactly. How the hell do you do that?
Or over 100
this is Naruto.
Over 100 volumes?
Shit, dude. That's crazy.
I'm currently caught up with the manga, so...
Oh, so you're cheating. I'm still safe. I'm still safe. Okay, so that was our review. Hope you enjoyed it.
Join us Tuesday for the next 5 episodes. I do have one thing to announce. Mike, you aren't going to be happy.
What?
You'll be happy for me, but not for your sanity.
Why?
We're at 17,595 subscribers.
Don't forget to unlike and unsubscribe, or else I'll come to your houses and I will cut off all your power.
But please like, subscribe, comment, get us further up.
You all know.
We're going to continue with One Piece, but right now it's looking after One Piece. We'll be jumping right to Gintama, which is a complete...
Continue to write minimal notes because being sick, I can't really do any exercises except go on walks.
Which
So,
Gintama is a complete change from the episodic One Piece to just a parody.
Oh, okay.
But I'm Derp.
I'm Ski Nerd.
And see you on Tuesday.